Cybersecurity Frontiers: 10 Disruptive Threats and Solutions, from AI Hackers to Space Safeguards. Disclaimer: the following report is for informational purposes only. It is not legal, medical, financial, or official advice. News coverage and analysis are presented here solely as news, not as guidance or counsel, and any anecdotes or scenarios discussed should not be interpreted as advice or recommendations. It's Sunday, May 31st, 2026, and around the world cybersecurity has taken center stage with a cascade of groundbreaking developments. From criminals weaponizing artificial intelligence to new forms of digital sabotage that cross into the physical world, the landscape is shifting beneath our feet. Yet amid the alarming headlines, the global cybersecurity community is also fighting back with innovation, collaboration, and hope, forging new defenses to safeguard both today's networks and the future we are all building. In this in-depth report, we dive into 10 of the most significant and widely discussed cybersecurity stories of the day, each one an example of the challenges and triumphs shaping the digital frontier and inspiring resilient responses from companies, governments, and ordinary people alike. A new breed of threat actor is harnessing generative AI on an unprecedented scale, marking a turning point in how cyber attacks are conceived and executed. In recent months, investigators uncovered a covert hacking group, dubbed Greyvibe by analysts, that is using advanced AI tools including OpenAI's ChatGPT and Google's Gemini to craft highly convincing phishing campaigns and write malicious software payloads with chilling efficiency. Greyvibe, which is believed to have ties to Russian interests, has been targeting government, military, and corporate networks with AI-generated emails, deepfake content, and convincingly realistic lures that are nearly indistinguishable from legitimate communications. Security researchers at WithSecure, who discovered the campaign, report that the threat actors began operations in 2025 and lean on multiple AI models to generate everything from polished text in multiple languages to images and website clones, dramatically lowering their cost and time investment for launching attacks. This approach has allowed Greyvibe to carry out an aggressive cyber espionage blitz on Ukrainian government agencies, military entities, and infrastructure companies, showcasing a dystopian new reality where artificial intelligence can massively accelerate digital warfare. Aware of the immense power AI now places in the hands of bad actors, cyber defenders are scrambling to adapt to this new paradigm. Industry experts point out that it was long feared that generative AI could be double-edged, and Greyvibe's campaign is a stark example confirming those fears. By automating large parts of their hacking operations, these criminals are launching high volumes of customized phishing sites, malware code, and even realistic deepfake personas at a speed and scope not seen before. They have used AI not only for writing lures, but also for designing malware frameworks, like a remote access Trojan and espionage toolkit, which observers say bear clear signs of language model assistance in their development. As generative AI models continue to improve and become more accessible, experts warn this method could become standard in cybercriminal arsenals, enabling less skilled hackers to mount sophisticated attacks by relying on AI's creativity and efficiency. It's a reminder that the same technologies propelling innovation and productivity can also be misused at scale, forcing society to confront once fictional threats that are rapidly becoming reality. Policymakers and security leaders emphasize that innovations must cut both ways, and indeed, the race is on to leverage AI and new strategies to neutralize AI-driven threats. Defensive cybersecurity firms are now deploying machine learning models to detect AI-created phishing content and malicious code, essentially fighting fire with fire. Threat intelligence platforms powered by AI can sift through enormous amounts of data to identify patterns left by AI-assisted hackers, and cloud providers are training algorithms to spot deepfake images or text that stand out as artificially generated. Cybersecurity companies are also creating honeypot traps that harness AI to engage and mislead automated attackers, feeding them fake data and learning from their techniques in real time. Many analysts greet these developments as a sign of resilience. Even as criminals exploit technology in unprecedented ways, the global security community is responding with creativity, collaboration, and cutting-edge solutions. In the face of machine-speed attacks, human ingenuity, often augmented by AI itself, continues to be one of the greatest hopes for protecting the digital civilization we all share. Subtopic: GreyVibe hackers integrate ChatGPT and Gemini, boosting threat campaigns. A threat intelligence report by WithSecure revealed that the GreyVibe group, likely linked to Russian actors, integrated ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Ideogram, and other AI tools to automate its malicious operations. By using AI to generate spear-phishing emails, fake websites, and even portions of malware code, GreyVibe was able to dramatically increase the scale and sophistication of attacks launched against its targets, which included Ukrainian and allied military and government networks. The group's campaign began in late 2025 and ramped up through early 2026, with investigators finding AI fingerprints in multiple attack components, from highly convincing social engineering lures to complex PowerShell backdoors. The use of generative AI allowed these hackers to craft customized content in various languages and contexts almost instantly, effectively lowering the barrier to entry for complex cyber-espionage operations. Industry experts note that such methods signify an emerging AI arms race in cyberspace, as malicious actors exploit the same advances that have revolutionized legitimate computing. While the GreyVibe group's tactics demonstrate new levels of threat, awareness of these techniques is spreading rapidly, prompting urgent defensive measures across both government cyber agencies and private firms. GreyVibe's heavy reliance on openly available AI tools highlights how readily accessible generative technology is being co-opted for malicious ends. Subtopic: AI arms race spurs defenders to adopt machine-driven defenses. In response to criminals using generative AI as a weapon, cybersecurity teams worldwide are themselves rapidly integrating AI-driven tools to bolster defenses, transforming the battle into a two-sided technological arms race. Companies are training machine learning algorithms to detect phishing content fabricated by AI by analyzing subtle inconsistencies and unnatural patterns that were previously imperceptible to humans. Law enforcement agencies and security vendors are also deploying AI-enhanced threat intelligence systems that can scan vast data streams to spot APT, advanced persistent threat, campaigns driven by generative AI, flagging unusual volumes or styles of malicious content before they do harm. Analysts stress that automated defenses can work at machine speed to counter automated attacks, and collaboration across industries and nations is accelerating a new generation of security platforms built for a world where both offense and defense harness artificial intelligence. Examples of such defenses include AI-driven network monitoring systems that detect anomalies in real time, as well as automated safeguards that can initiate countermeasures without waiting for human input. This proactive approach demonstrates the global security community's determination to ensure AI becomes a protective tool for defenders, not only a weapon for attackers. As the playing field begins to level, experts express hope that these AI-aided security solutions will mitigate the advantage held by AI-powered hackers, reaffirming that human ingenuity combined with advanced technology can outpace even the most cunning digital adversaries. A rising wave of cyber attacks on critical infrastructure is now forcing a reckoning that blurs the line between digital and physical security. In what cybersecurity experts call a new normal, vital systems that underpin daily life, energy grids, transportation networks, water facilities, and hospitals, have become prime targets of increasingly bold hackers seeking to disrupt real-world services. Just this week, the Los Angeles Metropolitan Transportation Authority, LA Metro, confirmed it was breached by attackers linked to an Iranian state-sponsored group, forcing the transit agency to inspect hundreds of servers and temporarily impacting some internal operations. Though rail and bus services continued uninterrupted, the incident highlighted that adversaries are as interested in causing chaos as they are in stealing data or money, wiping large troves of information and raising alarms over the vulnerability of urban infrastructure to digital sabotage. Meanwhile, Small municipal utilities and water systems, once thought too obscure to draw attention, are discovering they are no longer below the radar of global hacking collectives. Security agencies warn that many of these operations, including a foiled attempt to compromise a water utility in Mexico, were unsophisticated yet successful due to weak default passwords and internet-exposed control systems, underscoring how even basic defenses left undone can threaten physical safety. As public awareness of these cyber-physical threats grows, governments and industry leaders are stepping up their defenses to protect the lifelines of modern civilization. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, along with the FBI and NSA, recently issued stark warnings that state-sponsored hackers have been exploiting programmable logic controllers, PLCs, the digital brains behind many industrial processes, across critical sectors from water treatment plants to energy facilities. Security firms like Dragos have disclosed detailed case studies of how hackers tried to manipulate a city's water system, using a mix of readily available malware and AI assistance to identify and attack vulnerable control systems. One frightening revelation came from an industrial cybersecurity report. Chinese state-linked threat actors were found to have used artificial intelligence to automate up to 90% of their intrusion tasks in a campaign targeting dozens of sensitive sites worldwide, dramatically accelerating their ability to identify, probe, and infiltrate industrial networks. Amid these sobering developments, critical infrastructure operators are rapidly improving their resilience, segmenting networks, updating legacy hardware, and collaborating closely with national cyber authorities to ensure that vital systems, whether in cities, factories, or even orbiting satellites, are better shielded from digital attacks that could reverberate across society. The silver lining is that these high-profile incidents have galvanized a coordinated global response to better fortify essential services. After the LA Metro incident, multiple transit agencies across the U.S. and Europe launched immediate security audits of their operational technology networks, sharing threat intelligence and best practices through joint efforts led by CISA and international bodies. Governments are pressing forward with new regulations that require power utilities and pipeline operators to beef up their cyber protections, investing in stronger authentication for remote access to control systems and performing red team hacking drills to uncover vulnerabilities before adversaries can. There is also a quiet expansion of cyber mutual aid. Sectors like energy and transportation are increasingly collaborating on incident response playbooks so that when one network is attacked, others can learn and reinforce their own defenses. These collective measures speak to a humanistic drive to protect the systems that underpin our daily lives, ensuring that as we build smarter cities and even future off-world colonies, the critical digital infrastructure that supports society remains resilient against those who would do it harm. Subtopic: LA Metro hack highlights danger to critical infrastructure. A cyber attack on Los Angeles Metro earlier this spring has become a cautionary tale for transit agencies worldwide. Discovered in March, but only widely publicized by April, the breach was linked to Iranian state-affiliated hacktivists and resulted in internal system disruptions, although thankfully it did not halt passenger services. The attackers claimed to have wiped hundreds of terabytes of data and to exfiltrate over 1 terabyte of files, actions that went beyond mere espionage and aimed to inflict maximum operational damage. LA Metro spent weeks methodically inspecting and restoring servers, underscoring how time-consuming recovery can be even when physical operations remain functional. This incident followed warnings from international security agencies that state-sponsored APT groups are increasingly turning their sights to critical infrastructure to make geopolitical statements. The LA Metro hack underscores a troubling evolution. Rather than simply demanding ransoms or stealing secrets, some attackers seek to erode public confidence by targeting essential services that everyday people rely on. Cybersecurity experts say that the LA Metro case has become a rallying cry for better securing transportation networks, fueling new public-private partnerships and funding for transit cybersecurity to prevent more damaging attacks in the future. Subtopic: Small utilities become prime targets as AI makes ICS attacks easier. Security by obscurity is no longer a shield for small and mid-sized utilities, as even modestly resourced hackers are discovering ways into poorly defended industrial systems. An alert by Poland's Internal Security Agency, ABW, and reports from industrial cybersecurity firms have highlighted that many water treatment plants, municipal power grids, and manufacturing systems remain exposed online with default passwords or outdated protections. The relative ease with which some of these systems can be infiltrated has emboldened international threat actors to pursue soft targets that were once neglected, aiming to cause disproportionate panic or force payouts by disabling everyday services. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is making it simpler to identify and exploit such targets. One disclosed campaign by a Chinese-aligned group utilized an AI platform to map out industrial networks and select weak points automatically, handling a large portion of the hacking process without human oversight. Governments worldwide are taking note and pushing smaller utilities to adopt basic cyber hygiene measures like network segmentation, multi-factor authentication for remote system access, and regular updates to control system firmware. Small public utilities and industrial firms, once strapped for cybersecurity resources, are now receiving new support and funding to upgrade their systems, reflecting a broad recognition that even less visible parts of the network must be fortified. The hope is that improved vigilance and shared threat intelligence will keep these emerging digital battlefronts from threatening communities, reinforcing trust in the very infrastructure that sustains modern life. An international team of researchers has tricked real hackers into attacking a decoy satellite, capturing their methods in a groundbreaking cybersecurity experiment. At a major security conference in San Diego earlier this year, scientists unveiled HoneySat, the first high-interaction space honeypot, essentially a fake but convincing satellite environment designed explicitly to attract and study cyber attackers. The lifelike digital satellite simulated a fully operational CubeSat mission, complete with virtual spacecraft components, orbital mechanics, and realistic ground control interfaces, so convincingly that even experienced satellite operators could not distinguish it from a real mission. When the dummy satellite was placed online to see who might try to infiltrate it, threat actors took the bait. Within days, multiple hacking attempts were recorded in which intruders issued actual satellite commands, extracted simulated telemetry, and attempted to change the drone's operational parameters. These attacks were far from random. They aligned with known space-focused hacking techniques documented by government agencies, such as efforts to seize control of ground stations or intercept satellite data streams. For the first time, researchers obtained hard evidence of how hackers behave when targeting orbital infrastructure, a leap forward in understanding the very real risks faced by satellites that help power everything from GPS navigation to global communications. The HoneySat experiment's success is being hailed as a milestone for space cybersecurity, an area of growing importance as space becomes the next great frontier for both commerce and conflict. Satellite operators and space agencies worldwide have been grappling with how to secure orbiting assets that are both physically difficult to reach and increasingly essential to Earth's economy and security. This new research helps fill a critical knowledge gap. Until now, publicly available data on real-world space cyber attacks was scant, leaving defenders to rely on hypothetical scenarios. With HoneySat capturing actual malicious behavior, 22 unauthorized control commands across several hacking sessions, cyber defense experts can study these tactics and techniques to develop targeted safeguards for satellite communications and control systems. Observers note that the willingness of multiple attackers to target a seemingly real satellite underscores that space systems are no longer off-limits to cyber aggressors. However, the availability of real data from this honeypot is a positive leap forward, enabling security engineers to build better defenses grounded in reality rather than theory. As humanity expands its technological presence into orbit and even contemplates colonizing other planets, ensuring robust cybersecurity for satellites and spacecraft will be vital to preserving the continuity of communication, navigation, and safety beyond Earth. Stepping back, the implications of HoneySat reverberate far beyond academia. The project is prompting serious conversations in both the aerospace industry and government circles about standardizing cybersecurity for space systems, an area where threats have often outpaced defenses. The European Union's cybersecurity agency, ENISA, has already published a space threat landscape report in 2025 highlighting likely attack scenarios, and efforts are underway to shape global guidelines for satellite cyber defense. Private companies, too, are taking cues. Satellite manufacturers and operators have begun integrating more advanced encryption and even AI anomaly detection into their space hardware and control software, aiming to catch intrusions before they escalate. The 2022 Viasat satellite internet hack, which famously disrupted Ukrainian communications and even knocked out wind turbines in Germany at the onset of a major conflict, served as a wake-up call that space assets are critical infrastructure and must be protected. Now, with tools like HoneySat showcasing proactive research, experts are hopeful this newfound knowledge can catalyze a push for stronger satellite authentication, better incident response protocols, and an international framework for space cybersecurity norms. It's a revolutionary step towards securing the skies, ensuring that as our sphere of exploration and enterprise reaches the stars, we carry strong cyber shields along on humanity's journey beyond our home planet. Subtopic: HoneySat honeypot captures real space hacker tactics. Researchers from the University of Texas revealed HoneySat, a lifelike satellite honeypot that convincingly mimicked a real mission and successfully lured attackers to expose their space hacking methods. Presented at the NSS 2026 Security Symposium, this simulated CubeSat mission replicates full orbital operations, from ground control software to real flight dynamics, making it virtually indistinguishable from a genuine satellite system. Within days of its online deployment, attackers probed the fake satellite and even issued 22 malicious satellite commands, showing that they could find and interact with space infrastructure targets. These commands attempted to compromise critical functions. Hackers sought to read telemetry data, alter onboard settings, and hijack the satellite's controls, demonstrating structured knowledge of known space attack techniques. The fact that malicious actors took the bait so quickly and skillfully suggests that advanced threat groups already have both the willingness and technical know-how to pursue orbital targets. The HoneySat experiment provides an unprecedented glimpse into these tactics, giving defenders valuable data to develop real-world protective measures for space systems where previously security was heavily reliant on theory. So-called Honey satellite projects like this are expected to advance the practical knowledge needed to safeguard future orbital missions, bridging the gap between speculation and actual threat insights. Subtopic: Defending orbital assets as humanity's next frontier. The success of HoneySat underscores the urgent need to fortify space infrastructure as humanity pushes further into the cosmos. Thousands of satellites orbit the Earth, delivering vital services like GPS navigation, global communications, and Earth observation. Yet before this experiment, there was little publicly available data on how real cyber attacks against such systems unfold. The revelations from HoneySat prove that attackers are actively testing space assets, and they highlight how outdated notions of safety through obscurity are no longer viable even in orbit. In response, space agencies and commercial satellite operators are accelerating efforts to build quantum-resistant encryption and resilient control protocols into new spacecraft, recognizing that future space exploration and potential extraterrestrial colonies must be safeguarded from cyber threats. International coalitions and regulatory bodies are also exploring space cybersecurity frameworks, with the goal of establishing standards and collaboration mechanisms akin to those protecting terrestrial critical infrastructure. While the prospect of defending satellites and planetary networks might sound futuristic, industry leaders assert that steps taken now will determine the safety and success of humanity's digital foothold beyond Earth, ensuring that even our orbital and interplanetary endeavors are shielded from the reach of malicious code. Already, specialized groups and forums now exist solely to share space-related threat intelligence, highlighting how far space cybersecurity has come from being a niche concern to a top priority. A rash of software supply chain breaches is reminding the tech world that trust can be painfully fragile in the age of open-source development and continuous integration. In late May, security researchers discovered a malicious package on NuGet, the widely used .NET software library repository, camouflaged as a legitimate banking SDK that surreptitiously stole the login credentials of developers and financial institutions. The package, which impersonated a toolkit from Brazilian banking network Sacoob, had been quietly exfiltrating bank account passwords and other sensitive keys from any system that installed it. This supply chain attack rattled the developer community, as it showed how easily criminals could poison trusted software pipelines by uploading malicious code under familiar-sounding names to public repositories. Almost simultaneously, a new wave of type-squatted JavaScript packages on the NPM registry was unearthed, found to be silently stealing cloud service credentials and CI/CD pipeline secrets from developers who accidentally installed them due to minor name misspellings. The two incidents together highlight an escalated trend. Hackers are focusing on the critical but often less guarded connections in the software supply chain, where even a single compromised library or tool can give them keys to countless downstream victims' networks and data. Industry observers note that software supply chain attacks have exploded in recent years, with threat actors shifting attention to trusted updates, developer tools, and open-source ecosystems as entry vehicles into enterprises. The thinking is straightforward. Why break into one hardened target when you can piggyback malicious code into a software update and write it into thousands of victims at once? In the past year alone, dozens of popular code packages, from Python's pip modules to Ruby gems and Visual Studio Code extensions, have been found harboring backdoors and data stealers inserted by threat actors hoping to catch unwary developers off guard. In these latest cases, the malicious NuGet package was cunningly named to impersonate a Brazilian financial software kit, raising alarms in the banking industry. While the rogue NPM modules used lookalike names of famous libraries to slip by automated checks. Both exploits leverage the open and collaborative nature of modern DevOps and open-source environments, exploiting trust and automation to reach deep into development systems. The result has been compared to a digital version of poisoning the water supply. Once the malicious code is upstream, it inevitably flows downstream into countless products and organizations, demonstrating how profoundly supply chain breaches can undermine the integrity of global software. The response from the tech community has been swift. Major companies and open-source maintainers are deploying advanced code scanning tools and more stringent package repository controls in an effort to proactively catch these Trojan horse components before they do damage. Developer platforms like GitHub and NPM are investing in automated malware detection, scanning new packages for suspicious behavior or code patterns that could indicate credential theft routines. Some organizations are establishing software bill of materials (SBM) practices, essentially inventory lists of all code components used in their applications, to track and verify their supply chain dependencies, an approach strongly advocated by government cybersecurity directives in the US and Europe. Cloud service providers and CI/CD vendors are also adding features to help customers lock down secrets and rotate keys regularly to limit the window of exposure if a secret is leaked, which adds yet another layer of resilience against these attacks. While these measures cannot eliminate supply chain risk entirely, they represent a push towards greater vigilance and collective accountability in the software ecosystem. By doubling down on code integrity and sharing threat intelligence about malicious packages, the community is working together to keep the backbone of the digital economy secure even as attackers attempt to pull threads from its fabric. Subtopic: Malicious NuGet package infiltrates banking development pipeline. A malicious package uploaded to Microsoft's NuGet repository and posing as an official Sacoob banking SDK managed to slip past initial detection and compromise developers, stealing banking credentials from any system that installed it. Security researchers discovered this deceptive library on May 29, promptly alerting the community that the package was exfiltrating confidential financial logins and API keys, likely funneling them to a remote server under attacker control. The incident serves as a chilling example of a supply chain attack, by injecting code into a seemingly legitimate software component used by financial institutions. Threat actors effectively turned software developers into unwitting accomplices in data theft. Banks and fintech firms relying on that package have had to conduct emergency audits and rotate all potentially compromised credentials, while forensic teams trace the scope of the breach. The revelation that even official-seeming libraries on trusted platforms can harbor credential-stealing malware is fueling calls for more rigorous vetting of third-party code, and highlights the importance of robust vendor management and code verification practices in every software development process. Industry forums are abuzz, and the incident has been widely reported in cybersecurity news outlets as yet another wake-up call for developers to carefully scrutinize their dependencies. Many see it as an impetus to adopt automated tools that can verify the integrity of code packages, hoping to prevent such stealthy breaches in the future. Subtopic: Typo-squatted NPM libraries siphon cloud and CI/CD secrets. In a parallel supply chain scare, cybersecurity experts revealed that a cluster of malicious packages on the Node Package Manager (NPM) repository, named with subtle typos to mimic well-known JavaScript libraries, were being used to steal cloud service credentials and CI/CD secrets from developers' machines. These typo-squatting packages exploited the likelihood that a developer might mistype a popular package's name, accidentally downloading the imposter. Once integrated into a project's code, the malicious library would quietly harvest sensitive tokens, API keys, and configuration secrets used in cloud deployments and continuous integration workflows, sending them to attacker-controlled servers. The scheme is particularly insidious because it takes advantage of trust in widely used software distribution ecosystems. Even experienced engineers can fall victim if they overlook a minor spelling difference in a dependency name. The damage from such leaks can be far-reaching, enabling attackers to later infiltrate companies' cloud environments or modify their code repositories. In response, developer communities are heightening educational awareness around typo-squatting risks, while platforms like NPM have removed the offending packages and are tightening controls to preempt future imposters. These episodes underscore that as innovation thrives on openness and code sharing, shared vigilance is essential to preserving the security of the software supply chain. An unsettling security flaw has emerged from an unlikely source: the same artificial intelligence platforms millions rely on for help every day, showing how integrating AI into our workflows can inadvertently create new attack surfaces. Researchers at Permiso this week unveiled ChatGPhish, a newly disclosed vulnerability in OpenAI's ChatGPT web integration that allowed malicious websites to turn AI-generated page summaries into phishing traps, effectively luring victims through what appears to be a trusted AI assistance output. The exploit leverages malicious prompt injection. An attacker can embed hidden instructions or code into any website text, and when a user asks ChatGPT to summarize that page, the AI inadvertently incorporates the attacker's directives into its answer. In the reported proof-of-concept attack, the ChatGPT interface was manipulated to display what looked like genuine security alerts and login links inside the chat window. But these were actually attacker-supplied phishing elements cleverly rendered by the AI's interface without any warning labels. Victims, seeing these messages inside ChatGPT's familiar layout, could easily be tricked into clicking malicious links or scanning a counterfeit QR code, inadvertently handing their credentials or sensitive data to cybercriminals. For corporate security teams and everyday users alike, the incident highlights the need to approach AI-generated outputs with caution and to incorporate robust safeguards as these tools become more integrated into daily tasks. The ChatGPhish vulnerability has raised red flags across the cybersecurity community, not only because of its devious novelty, but also due to the initially lackluster response from the platform's operator. Permiso's team first reported the issue privately to OpenAI in late April, warning that the AI's summarization feature blindly trusts content from external websites when rendering responses. At first, OpenAI could not reproduce the exploit and downplayed its severity. Only after a second, more detailed report was the problem acknowledged, though it was then marked as a duplicate of a prior issue without immediate fix. Frustrated by what they saw as an inadequate response to a serious security problem affecting potentially millions of users, the researchers took the step of public disclosure on May 29th, urging caution to the community. The exploit, which essentially allows any malicious actor to piggyback on the trust users place in AI assistants, highlights a blind spot in current web security: the assumption that content delivered through benevolent AI tools is inherently safe. It serves as a wake-up call to companies integrating large language models into their products that they must consider robust content filtering and context isolation to prevent such injection attacks. OpenAI has since faced mounting pressure to implement stronger safeguards in ChatGPT's browsing and summarization features to ensure such vulnerabilities are addressed. The broader lesson of ChatGPT is resonating with developers and platform designers tasked with melding AI into everyday services. Experts note that AI models by design cannot always distinguish malicious instructions hidden in the data they process, which means security safeguards have to evolve in tandem with the technology. In the case of ChatGPT's page summary feature, a clear fix would involve better isolation of user-provided content so that it cannot directly inject functional elements like links or code into AI responses without oversight. Security professionals also recommend a cultural shift. Users must treat any AI-generated output with healthy skepticism, especially if it contains clickable links or requests for sensitive information. Some companies are temporarily disabling AI summarization of untrusted content or adding warnings for users to double-check external links. By promoting user awareness and engineering stronger guardrails around how AI interacts with external data, developers are aiming to preserve the utility of intelligent assistants while closing a door that attackers briefly opened into a new form of social engineering. This episode ultimately shows that even as we integrate AI deeper into our daily tools, vigilance and smart engineering can help us enjoy their benefits while keeping a step ahead of creative attackers. Subtopic: ChatGPT exploit turns trusted AI summaries into threats. The ChatGPT vulnerability, revealed by security researchers, showcases how a prompt injection in ChatGPT's web page summarization feature can convert an otherwise trusted AI interface into a phishing platform. By adding hidden malicious instructions to a web page's content, such as embedded code or crafted text, attackers could trick ChatGPT into generating responses that contained what looked like legitimate links, system alerts, or QR codes, all under the guise of the AI's normal output. This means when a user asked ChatGPT to summarize or explain an untrusted site, the AI might unwittingly present fake login prompts or security warnings that appear to come from itself, preying on the user's trust in the AI assistant. The ChatGPT proof-of-concept demonstration included deceptive messages about account security and clickable links that would take users to malicious sites, effectively bridging social engineering and machine learning in a way not seen before. OpenAI was initially slow to respond, failing to reproduce the exploit until a second, more detailed report was submitted, after which the vulnerability was publicly exposed on May 29, 2026. This vulnerability has quickly drawn widespread attention as an example of how LLM-integrated services could be manipulated, and it underscores the need for immediate mitigations to protect AI's growing role in our digital lives. Industry watchers warn that other applications using integrated AI assistants may be at risk of similar trust exploitation tactics, and they urge these platforms to heed the lessons of ChatGPT by reinforcing their defenses. Subtopic: Strengthening AI systems against manipulation. The discovery of ChatGPT has spurred calls for more robust safety mechanisms in AI-enabled applications to prevent similar prompt injection and content manipulation tactics. Cybersecurity experts emphasize that companies should implement strict output filtering and sandboxing when incorporating AI-generated content into user-facing interfaces, ensuring that content from third-party sites is sanitized and properly labeled within AI responses. Proposed solutions include requiring AI to delineate quoted web content with clear attributions, disabling the rendering of active elements like links or images from untrusted data, and bolstering large language model (LLM) security guidelines across the industry to address these emerging risks. In the meantime, Organizations and individuals are being cautioned to avoid using AI summary features on pages containing user-generated or untrusted content, especially for sites with open contributions, like message boards or code repositories, which could contain hidden directives for the AI to generate malicious outputs. By promoting user awareness and engineering stronger guardrails around how AI interacts with external data, developers are aiming to preserve the utility of intelligent assistance while closing a door that attackers briefly opened into a new form of social engineering. Some companies have already formed dedicated AI security teams to address these novel vulnerabilities, reflecting the understanding that if AI is to be integrated safely, security must be built in from the ground up. A new type of ransomware is making waves in the cyber underground, combining high-level automation with rarely seen stealth tactics to deliver unprecedented destructive potential against organizations worldwide. Security analysts are sounding alarms over a sophisticated ransomware-as-a-service operation codenamed the Gentleman, which has been unleashing a self-spreading malware that can encrypt data across entire networks with minimal human intervention. The malware is written in the Go programming language, a choice that allows high-speed and cross-platform operation, and is heavily obfuscated with custom tools, making detection and analysis difficult. Active since mid-2025, the Gentleman Group initially operated privately but later opened its franchise to affiliate partners in a bid to scale up attacks globally. Their recent surge of activity has affected victims in industries from education and healthcare to transportation and finance across 5 continents, indicating a broadening campaign that threatens everything from hospitals to railway operators. What distinguishes the Gentleman's attacks is their meticulous design. Before locking data, the ransomware systematically disables antivirus protections, deletes backups, and wipes system logs, frustrating incident responders and leaving victims blind during the early, critical hours of an attack. One of the most alarming innovations employed by the Gentleman ransomware is its method to achieve maximum system privileges using a deceptively simple trick, creating a Windows-scheduled task that runs the malware with system-level rights. By instructing infected machines to register a hidden task that immediately executes the ransomware under Windows' highest privilege user, the malware ensures it can bypass normal access controls and encrypt data that would ordinarily be protected from lower-level accounts. This means that crucial files, backups, and system resources are all within the ransomware's reach, enabling it to inflict catastrophic damage. Moreover, the Gentleman has a worm-like self-propagation capability. After infecting one machine, it uses a suite of techniques, from stolen admin credentials to hijacked remote management tools, to copy itself across the network and run on other computers simultaneously. The complex multi-vector approach, described in a Microsoft Threat Intelligence report as unusually flexible and customizable, allows the ransomware to adapt its strategy on the fly, altering encryption speeds, persistence methods, and network spreading parameters via simple operator commands. These abilities put the Gentleman in a rare class of threats capable of turning a localized infection into a company-wide crisis within minutes, underscoring why experts say modern ransomware is as much about speed and stealth as about encryption. The proliferation of ever more cunning ransomware like the Gentleman has catalyzed a global fightback. Law enforcement agencies and cybersecurity companies are collaborating like never before, using advanced forensics and global intelligence sharing to track ransomware gangs across borders and interrupt their operations. Recent years have seen a string of successes. Multi-country task forces have dismantled major criminal rings, seized ransom payments before they reached the attackers, and even penetrated ransomware infrastructure, turning the tables by recovering decryption keys or releasing victims' data from captivity. At the same time, organizations are embracing zero-trust architectures and robust backup strategies as a critically important defense. By isolating segments of networks and ensuring offline, tamper-proof backups, companies can limit the blast radius of an infection and restore systems without paying ransoms, depriving attackers of their leverage. Security analysts also point to a heartening shift. As ransomware becomes more destructive, there is a growing resolve among businesses and governments to tough it out, refuse extortion demands, and publicly share lessons learned. This collective resilience, combined with increasingly aggressive crackdowns on the ransomware economy, gives hope that the balance of power may slowly be tipping back towards the defenders, even as the adversaries become more technologically advanced. Subtopic: The Gentleman Ransomware exploits system tasks for maximum damage. The Gentleman Ransomware Group has distinguished itself by using Windows scheduled tasks to run its malware under the highest possible privileges, enabling it to encrypt files that would normally be off-limits. Once triggered with the correct command, the ransomware sets up a hidden scheduled task, named in one case Gentleman_System, that executes the malware as the powerful system account, bypassing standard user restrictions. This simple yet effective trick grants the attackers near total control over infected machines at the OS level, allowing them to disable security software, erase forensic evidence, and encrypt core system files and backups with impunity. Analysts observe that by gaining such deep access, the Gentleman can cause irreversible harm in record time. Within minutes of compromise, it can propagate itself across networks and uniformly lock down data before detection. These advanced tactics illustrate how ransomware gangs are innovating relentlessly, adopting techniques akin to those used in state-sponsored cyber warfare to maximize destruction and profit. A recent analysis by Microsoft's security team highlighted the Gentleman's ability to disable defenses and move laterally with unprecedented speed, warning that this threat is capable of overwhelming unprepared organizations. The case underlines how blending stealth, automation, and cunning technical maneuvers has made cutting-edge ransomware a top concern for security practitioners worldwide. Subtopic: Fighting back through unity and resilience. In the face of escalating ransomware aggression, a global push for collective defense and resilience in cyberspace is emerging as a beacon of hope. International law enforcement operations have successfully penetrated and dismantled several notorious ransomware syndicates in recent years, arresting key operators and seizing illicit profits, interrupting what had seemed like an unstoppable crime wave. Meanwhile, governments are establishing frameworks that pressure companies to harden their defenses, share breach information quickly, and avoid rewarding criminals with ransom payments. Many organizations are now practicing rigorous emergency drills and investing in redundant, segmented IT infrastructure to ensure that, even if one part falls victim to encryption, core functions can continue and data can be restored. Cybersecurity firms are likewise improving ransomware detection algorithms, often using AI to spot early signs of encryption or lateral movement, enabling automatic containment to block the spread of an attack. Though ransomware remains a formidable threat, these concerted actions embody a determination not to let criminals dictate the terms, signaling that through global cooperation and preparation, the tide may slowly turn in favor of defenders. While it will take time to fully neutralize the ransomware plague, experts believe this coordinated approach is gradually shifting the balance, reducing the overall impact of such disruptive attacks. In the business arena, cybersecurity has become a lightning rod for investment and consolidation, as major companies and venture capitalists alike pour billions into the sector to acquire cutting-edge capabilities and scale up defenses. The first quarter of 2026 saw a record-setting M&A spree. Industry trackers tallied dozens of cybersecurity mergers and acquisitions each month, with April alone recording 33 deals. A volume that highlights how the market is racing to consolidate expertise and technologies in the face of relentless threats. Among the high-profile transactions, global aerospace leader Airbus announced plans to acquire Quarks Lab, a French security firm specializing in protecting software against AI-driven attacks, signaling how even companies outside the traditional IT sphere are bolstering their cyber arsenal. Security stalwarts are also in the fray. Palo Alto Networks, itself a top global cybersecurity provider, recently revealed an agreement to purchase an AI-based cloud security startup called Portkey in a deal reportedly worth around $120 million, aiming to integrate advanced autonomous security agent capabilities into its platform. It also underscores how the lines between segments of the security industry, such as cloud protection, identity management, and threat intelligence, are blurring as combined companies aim to offer comprehensive and seamlessly integrated defenses for their customers. Underlying this merger wave is a widespread belief that joining forces will lead to stronger security innovation. Analysts suggest that many chief information security officers prefer integrated solutions that can handle multiple threat vectors, rather than juggling dozens of niche tools that may leave gaps. Big companies with deep pockets are snapping up specialized startups to fill those gaps. For instance, identity security firm Silverfort's purchase of an AI decisioning engine developer to build an autonomous identity platform, or Cisco's continued shopping spree to embed more cloud and AI security technology into its lineup. Meanwhile, the pace of deals is a confidence signal from investors that the cybersecurity sector remains a robust, high-growth market even amid broader economic headwinds. Private equity firms and corporate venture arms are particularly active, funneling capital into security firms addressing hot areas like cloud data protection, IoT/OT security, and AI-driven threat detection. This not only injects resources into the fight against cybercrime, but also fosters collaboration across specialties, as acquired teams join larger organizations with global reach, thereby accelerating the delivery of next-generation security tools to those who need them. However, this consolidation also comes with important questions about competition and diversity in security solutions. As a handful of tech giants and platform providers absorb smaller companies, some worry about innovation being stifled by decreased competition, or that integration challenges might blunt the effectiveness of acquired tools. In response, many of the acquisitions are structured with a focus on preserving the acquired company's talent and continuing development of their products under the new umbrella to leverage their expertise at a larger scale. Major security conferences this year have emphasized cooperative R&D, with panels on fostering an open ecosystem even amid consolidation, so that interoperability and open standards prevent vendor lock-in and ensure choices remain for customers. The overarching sentiment is guarded optimism. Combining strengths can lead to better security outcomes, but it requires careful alignment of cultures and a commitment not to lose the agility and creativity of those innovative startups being acquired. If done well, this wave of deals could produce a new generation of well-resourced security platforms capable of tackling the ever-broader range of cyber risks, making the digital world safer through synergy and scale. Subtopic: Record-breaking surge in cyber industry mergers. Mergers and acquisitions, M&A, in the cybersecurity sector have hit unprecedented levels in 2026 as firms seek to pool resources and technologies to combat increasingly complex threats. According to a report by Security Week, 33 security-related deals were disclosed in April 2026 alone, capping off a record 420-plus acquisitions in the previous year, a clear indicator of the industry's rapid consolidation. These deals range from global giants like Airbus moving into cybersecurity by acquiring a specialist firm to long-standing security players like Palo Alto Networks buying up AI startups to enhance the capabilities of their product suites. Analysts say this M&A frenzy demonstrates investor confidence in cybersecurity as an enduring growth area, with big companies willing to pay a premium to secure key innovations, especially in hot fields such as cloud security, machine learning-driven threat detection, and industrial control system protection. The infusion of capital is expected to foster development of more powerful, integrated defenses for businesses and consumers. Some industry insiders even suggest that this wave of acquisitions is reminiscent of the early 2000s tech consolidation, but with a focus on melding software, hardware, and cloud services to create end-to-end security platforms. For customers, this trend could lead to simpler, more unified security solutions that are easier to manage and more effective at stopping advanced threats. Subtopic: Consolidation builds unified defenses and investor confidence. Industry experts view the current cybersecurity consolidation trend as a way to build more unified and effective defense platforms, able to tackle the broad spectrum of threats that no single niche solution could handle alone. Tech giants are integrating new acquisitions swiftly into their portfolios, merging teams and products in hopes of delivering seamless protections that cover endpoints, networks, cloud services, and identities under one roof. This convergence is changing how companies approach security, replacing patchwork solutions with more holistic, one-stop platforms that can simplify management while plugging gaps in coverage. Investors, for their part, are incentivizing the trend. The steady flow of deal announcements and rising valuations for well-positioned firms reflect a belief that cybersecurity will remain a crucial, resilient sector, akin to a cornerstone of modern economic stability. If these acquisitions result in more potent, accessible security solutions, the ultimate beneficiaries will be the public and businesses worldwide, who can count on a more solid foundation of digital safety built through combined expertise and resources. Industry chatter for the second half of 2026 suggests further big-name deals are likely, with major conferences generating buzz about even larger acquisitions in the pipeline. Altogether, the rush to consolidate sends a clear message. Cybersecurity has evolved from a niche IT concern to a fundamental pillar of modern business strategy. A new era of encryption is dawning, as the technology world braces to protect itself against the looming power of quantum computers capable of cracking today's security codes. This week, AT&T made headlines by launching one of the first commercial post-quantum cryptography (PQC) services, a secure SD and networking platform powered by Cisco routers that are equipped with quantum-resistant encryption algorithms. For the first time, a major telecom provider is offering businesses an option to shield their data in transit with cryptographic keys that, even when recorded by adversaries today, should remain secure against decoding by future quantum computers. The news underscores how seriously industry is taking the harvest now, decrypt later threat model. It's well understood that hackers, possibly including nation-state spies, are already capturing and storing vast amounts of encrypted data in hopes of deciphering it once quantum technology matures. In response, governments and enterprises are accelerating timetables for moving to quantum-proof encryption standards, which were finalized by the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, in 2024 after years of global research. In the past, cryptographic transitions took decades, but the consensus now is that there's no time to waste. 2026 is shaping up as the year organizations begin adopting quantum-secure algorithms en masse to stay ahead of future threats. Driving this urgency are clear signals from authorities. The U.S. National Security Agency has set out specific deadlines under its CNSA 2.0 guidelines requiring that all new government national security systems use quantum-safe encryption by 2027. And that existing critical systems be fully converted by 2035. These mandates are spurring not only changes in government networks, but also cascading to defense contractors, banks, and other industries that interconnect with them, effectively raising the bar for everyone. Meanwhile, security innovators are racing to fill a burgeoning market for post-quantum solutions, projected to exceed $15 billion by 2030 as thousands of companies embark on the largest cryptographic upgrade cycle since the dawn of the Internet. Already, startups are introducing specialized PQC migration platforms to help big enterprises inventory their encryption assets and plan the transition. And multiple tech giants have announced support for the first wave of NIST-approved quantum-safe algorithms. The threat is no longer theoretical. Experts remind us that once a working quantum computer achieves sufficient power, all classical encryption could be broken, exposing decades' worth of sensitive communications in a single stroke. The bright side is that the cryptography community has anticipated this for years and delivered solid new algorithms. The challenge now is execution, updating everything from web browsers and VPNs to satellites and connected cars with these new defenses. Amid the rush to prepare, some early adopters are leading by example, demonstrating that implementing quantum-safe encryption is feasible and beneficial. AT&T's new secure network service, delivered in partnership with Cisco, sets a precedent for other telecom and cloud infrastructure companies to follow suit, integrating quantum-resistant encryption into their backbone networks ahead of any mandated deadlines. Likewise, financial institutions and tech companies handling sensitive customer data are assessing how soon they can incorporate PQC into their products and communications. There are reports that several large cloud providers have quietly begun testing quantum-hardened VPNs and TLS protocols in their data centers, ensuring that cloud-stored data remains confidential even in a post-quantum scenario. Government agencies in multiple countries have rolled out guidelines and even frameworks for a coordinated national migration to PQC, culminating in global competitions to stress test the new algorithms against potential weaknesses. While the path to a fully quantum-secure internet is long, spanning perhaps a decade or more, each move like AT&T's and others represents a step toward protecting future generations' data from tomorrow's threats. It's a fundamentally forward-looking effort, one that shows a commitment to long-term security not just for our current networks, but for the digital tapestry that will connect Earth and eventually other worlds in the centuries to come. Subtopic: Governments mandate urgent shift to post-quantum encryption. The finalization of NIST's post-quantum encryption standards in 2024 has set in motion a historic migration to new cryptography, driven by government mandates and tightening deadlines. The U.S. National Security Agency's CNSA 2.0 guidelines require that by 2027, all newly procured national security systems must use quantum-safe algorithms, with the entire suite of critical federal systems transitioning fully by 2035. Other nations are issuing similar mandates, accelerating the timeline for the world's banks, utility firms, cloud providers, and even space agencies, which must ensure satellites and other assets are protected by